Good morning. You know, if there's one thing I've learned about doing YouTube for 8 years now, it's to be yourself. For a while, I got trapped into the idea of like, good morning, what's up, YouTube? I hope you're having a fantastic day. Today we're gonna do and it's annoying, you know? You kind of want someone that's like on the edge of depression. But anyways, everything is packed into the back of the Model Y, and it looks good. We got lots of things to do today, so I'm gonna do a range test today. It's only 72 degrees currently in Phoenix right now, which is amazing. It's already usually 95, so we got a rainstorm yesterday that broke the weather. I was able to get the M2 all cleaned up, as you can see here. So that car's totally clean. But yeah, I'm gonna do a range test. I got a ton of mileage to drive today, city, highway, all that stuff. I won't have to be running the AC like crazy. So we currently have 279 miles of range, and we are going to see how much I used today. And we're also gonna talk about, should you buy a Model Y now, or should you wait? I'm going to talk about some of the defects that I've continued to find. Range just dropped to 278 miles as I was speaking to you. The degradation is bad. We're back up to 279. I apologize. Elon heard me. But anyways, that's what's going on today. Thanks for tuning in. Some other advice I'd like to shed on you this morning is when I tell people, you know, people ask like, hey, so like, what do you do in your free time? You're meeting someone new and they ask about you. You know, obviously YouTube is a huge part of what I do in my free time. It eats up all of my free time. So I'm like, oh, I make YouTube videos. I just kind of leave it at that. Like, I don't really want to get into it. And they're like, oh man, that's cool. They're like, yeah, I've been thinking about starting a podcast. Like, oh yeah, I've been thinking about doing streaming on Twitch. Oh, I've been thinking about doing a YouTube channel. Okay, the number one thing that I say to people who are thinking about doing it, I say, what are you thinking about? They're like, well, I gotta plan out, like, you know, what type of podcast I want it to be. If I want it to be sports, but there's like, you know, that market's saturated. Listen, every market is saturated. The automobile market on YouTube, you can find you could find 5 new people every single day that you could watch. It's saturated. What you need to do is, like I said earlier, if you act like yourself, you do what you are interested in, do something that you're passionate about. It doesn't feel like you're forcing yourself to make the videos, and it will come over time. Sometimes you'll ramp up quickly than others. Sometimes you'll be like me. It takes many years to get even a minimal amount of success. But my point is, just do it. Just start figuring it out. Don't sit there and plan, you know, it's not a television show. Everything doesn't have to be gone over with a fine-tooth comb. Or a fine cone tooth. You need to just start doing it and see what works, and don't overthink, well, you know, the sports market, like I was thinking of this angle. There's no angle. Just do what you're interested in, and there will be people out there that are interested in the way you present. Maybe they like the way you talk. Maybe you have a weird accent or something like that. I know it sounds funny, but that's why you watch a lot of people, is for the personality and not necessarily the content itself. That's my advice to you. If you're thinking of starting something, start today. Do something today. Buy the equipment you need and start producing content. See what works. Even if you get 30 views, maybe one video gets 30 views, the other video gets 5 views. You're like, okay, the video with 30 views, something about that was more appealing to the viewers. That's all I have to say. I'll stop now. One thing I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video is we started with 3,121 miles on the car. We're currently at 3,136. So I've driven a little bit, but I'm also gonna see, you know, compared to miles driven and then miles used, is that equivalent? Should you buy your Model Y now, or should you wait? Some of the comments that I've been getting are from people that are like, you're crazy to buy a car in its first year of production. Why would you do that? It's an expensive car. How can you be okay with these defects? All that stuff. And I think one thing that you need to consider is the fact that I'm not a normal consumer. I am getting a return on posting these videos about the Tesla Model Y. So for that reason, I'm okay with dealing with some of the issues and just presenting them to the people that view the videos. So that's useful to other people. It's beneficial to me to have a car that actually does have some of the defects and not get a perfect car, so I can show them to you. Maybe someone from Tesla will see, maybe, who knows? But you can at least see, okay, how bad do I want this car? Should I wait until they get some of these worked out, or should I go ahead and buy it now? Some of the things that I've noticed are, the main thing that I have noticed is the paint. I don't necessarily see a difference from panel to panel as far as color goes. I've seen in areas, like the only way I can describe it is if you took a strawberry and there was a chocolate fountain and you stuck the strawberry in the fountain, it would leave that little gap of chocolate waterfall that wasn't coming down because that chocolate is now hitting the strawberry. I know this is way out there. I've found several areas while detailing the car and removing little pieces of tar or whatever from the road. I've found these little areas where there's almost like there was a peg or something that was blocking paint from evenly spreading. So there's minor details, and I only find them when I'm cleaning the car and being very detailed and just trying to get an even clean on the car. The car actually just moved to the left because it sensed that a truck was right there. So it likes to see, you can see it's sensing it. It's edging to the left side of the lane to give a little extra space. It's pretty amazing. I mean, there are little issues, and luckily I have a white car. If I had like blue or black or something like that, I feel like you'd really notice these paint issues. For me, that's why I'm okay with some of the issues. Now, I haven't taken it in for service yet to see what they are going to fix. I've heard some people say that when they take their Teslas in for service and they say, hey, this is too much of a gap, and Tesla responds by saying, look, this is within spec. So that's pretty frustrating. I would imagine if you're someone that's really going to buy you. And I think for the average consumer, the person that is buying this car and using it, and it's a nice car, it's a $50,000 or $60,000 car depending on which one you get, yeah, you don't want to have those issues. If you buy a Porsche Macan, if you buy a Mercedes, it's not even a Mercedes M-Class, what is it, a GLC, or if you buy a Audi Q5, they're not going to have these quality issues that you see on the exterior of the Tesla. Now, the interesting thing is, you know, there's no engine for the Tesla to have any errors, so you can factor that in as well. So then, to address the question of why am I okay with the car having these issues, let's say you remove the fact that I'm making money off of the YouTube videos. Let's say you remove that. The other reason is this car drives so incredibly well. First of all, the acceleration, I don't even have the performance model. It's still fast. 385 horsepower, 375 pounds-feet of torque. It's a fast car. Not only is it fast, it's extremely efficient. So there's all of these other factors that are built into the car that I think to myself, okay, I'm not polluting. It's efficient. It's fast. The center of gravity is low, so it's very fun to drive as well. I know I've said this a million times, I just need to do it, but I am going to take this car to the canyons and just show you how well it handles, because I haven't even gotten a chance to go on some really curvy roads and enjoy it. But I would think that it can be just as fun as my M2. Now, it's not as visceral as my M2, that's for sure. I mean, the exhaust sound of that, the throttle response in both, in Sport Plus mode in the M2, that feels just about as good as is accurate as this throttle is. Now the power you have to wait for the turbo to spool up in the M2 a little bit, and then it hits and the power comes on, whereas this is just so linear and immediate. My point is, the driving dynamics of this car are so good, the comfort's good, the sportiness is good, all of that is so good that it overrides these minor details that over time Tesla is going to figure out. You think Tesla Roadster, I think it was 2008 when that came out, and for them to come 12 years later, and this is where they're at, selling an incredible amount of cars, and their stock prices through the roof, they're worth more than every other car company in the world. That is why I can be okay with it, because look, over time things are going to happen to the car. And I just think, you know, I mean, just the infotainment system alone, look at this thing. It knows there's a truck up there. It knows to keep me in my lane. I was in a rental BMW the other day, and it was a brand new 2023 series, and see these lines of tar on the road? The sun was shining at an angle to where that, if you were a computer, for you bots out there that are watching, as a computer, I would imagine you might think that those tar lines are lane lines. And the car jerked across like the interstate. Like, it was crazy. It ripped the wheel out of my hand. So the fact that Tesla is so advanced in that sense is why I'm okay with these small errors. Now, things like the rear tail light not aligning flush with the trunk, that bothers me. That needs to be fixed. The hood, I think I can fix on my own just by adjusting the tabs underneath. I'll let you know in a future video. As Biden would say,
look, here's the deal.
It's a great looking car. It's fun to drive. And for my everyday usability, I'm able to stack the trunk full, as you saw at the beginning of the videos, with all kinds of things. I love the coupe look, and I can just get over it. So that's my rationalization for, you know, are there defects with the car? Yeah, they're minor, but they are there. And that may bother some people, but that's my rationalization for just getting over it and enjoying the car. So my advice to you is, yes, over time it's going to get better. If you can wait a year or something like that, save up, maybe get the model that you really want. Don't settle for the long range if you really want the performance, or, you know, with any, and that could go with any of the Tesla models. Save up and get the one that you want, because really over time, the Teslas are only going to get better. The batteries are only going to get better. The software is only going to get more efficient. And that's the exciting thing about this, is I don't have to worry about the one that comes out next year, because I have the software and all of the technology for them to hopefully update and get mine as close to the new one as possible. So that's my argument. Gulfland is open. They're spreading COVID all over the land. They call it the COVID plunge now. The most concise way I can put this is, the driving experience of my Tesla Model Y is so much more superior to that of the other mainstream car brands that these minor details can just be wiped away. That's all that I'm saying. What I like about the Tesla is when I'm just sitting in a parking lot, which I do very often for my car, it's just nice and quiet. Little air conditioning blowing on me, no motor running. And also, Maserati just released their new MC20. It's a mid-range sports car. I'll show you a picture here. Just looking on Instagram. So here's a look at it. Looks pretty sweet. Except they wrote here, Maserati's latest reboot, a relatively affordable $200,000 range car. So I left this comment. What do they mean, relative to other cars in the $200,000 price range? Morons. I want to see what you guys think about this. So if you take your battery and you kind of drag it all the way to the right, you can see what the range of your car is. So right now it says 303 miles is the max capacity of my battery. You know, it started out when you bought the car is at 316 miles. A couple days later is at 319 miles. And ever since then, it's slowly been just going down, down, down. Now we're at 303 miles. So I'm interested to see if other Y owners, if your car, if your battery's been degrading at the same rate. I've also heard that if you charge your battery up full, the battery will learn its actual max capacity, which I haven't done yet. So I think that's interesting as well. Maybe it's something I don't need to worry about, but it's something I check every morning just to see where the max capacity the battery's at. But it's interesting to think if you charge it all the way up, it actually learns it has more capacity than it's reading. So I don't know if it's something to worry about. Just wanted to show you that. Just had salad and go for lunch, and I was sitting here drinking my strawberry lemonade while struggling to steer the car, and I said, screw this. I said, screw this. Let the car do it. Let the car do it. I need to drink. I was literally sitting here getting frustrated that I had to struggle with the wheel while holding a drink. I mean, look, if you're a soft person, do not get a Tesla, because it will soften you to an extent you didn't know was possible. Just fact. Pretty sure that's a ZL1 1LE. There he goes. Great looking car, but it's a blast to drive. That comment that I left on Car and Drivers Instagram, people keep replying back to me. They're like, do you even know what relative means? I'm like, Jesus, people. They're like 9. They're 9.5. The only job they've had is making their bed, and their parents give them $5 a week to do that. That's their job.
Do you even know what relative means?
Eat my balls, mate. If you guys watch the F1 show on Netflix, I think it's called Born to Drive, in season 1, I think, Kevin Magnussen is sitting there, and the one guy from Renault comes up to him, and he's like, you're the dirtiest driver on the track. And Kevin goes, suck my balls, mate. It was so funny. Highly recommend that show if you haven't seen it. I've always wanted to get into F1, but I would watch it on television, and I wouldn't know like who's who and what's going on. And then after watching this show, it opened my eyes up to the life that these guys live and how intense it is, and it made me love F1. So highly recommend that show if you haven't seen it already. Orange wrapped Model X coming up on us right here. Oh, that looks great. Really like that. Someone asked in a previous video how I named the vehicle. I'm pretty sure you just click this and then you can go ahead and name it. Usually it just says like name your vehicle, you click it. But anyways, we're ending the day with 3,224 miles, so I'll let you know at the bottom of the screen what we started with, and then we have 150 miles left of range. Now there were a couple times where I had to floor the car on the way home, so that probably hurt the range. Other than that, I was driving really smoothly today. I think one of the things I was frustrated with at first when I first got the Tesla was I was kind of disappointed with the range. I had read articles that said the advertised range on Teslas is nowhere near where it really is, but then if you look at third-party tests from just consumers like myself on YouTube, it seemed to be pretty accurate. What I was doing is I was enjoying just flooring the car and driving like a moron, as opposed to driving like if I was driving my Focus ST or the M2. I'm not flooring it all the time because I know it's not good for the motor, but for the electric car, it really doesn't matter to my knowledge. I was getting frustrated, but in reality, if I was flooring this car, it would use more gas, so I'd have to go fill up more. You're just a little more stranded in an electric car because you can't recharge as quickly as you can just 5 minutes at the gas station, 10 minutes at the gas station. Getting refueled. So overall though, I mean, I've said it a million times in my videos so far, I just really love the Y. It gives you everything. You have the space, you have the performance, you have the technology, and on top of all that, it looks great in my opinion. Appreciate everyone using my referral code, and there is more to come. Thanks for watching.